What is going on, everybody? We are back live with another episode for you. Technically, this is episode 3, but this is going to be the first full-length episode we are hoping to complete. Welcome back. You are tuned in. If you are here, if you are listening to this message, you are tuned in to the correct frequency. You are watching Hans 33.3 FM, the newest, hottest, best show out there on the market. We have so much to talk about today. Such a great show planned for you today. If you couldn't pick up on the vibe of the intro song, that was JPEG Mafia. I might vote for Donald Trump, and that is going to be bringing us into our first segment of the day, which is talking about the debate debacle with Joseph Robinette Biden, our president in the year of our Lord 2024. We have this and so much more to talk about today. Of course, I'm your host, Hans. I have Fisher joining with me virtually over Discord to give his thoughts on everything we're going to be covering today. And guys, we're here. We're locking in. It's a Monday morning, technically afternoon, but it's early enough in the afternoon to be considered morning by myself. I have a Baja Blast here I'm sipping on. This is something new that they're doing. I don't know if you guys have heard about this Baja Blast, but something that they're doing at Taco Bell. Go on down to Taco Bell. Get yourself a Baja Blast on this beautiful Monday in July. It's July 1st now. Summer's really flying by. A lot has been going on. A lot has been happening. But at the same time, it feels like nothing's going on. Not a lot of news. This debate shit show was really kind of the first big news thing, real big event going on that I've seen in a while. That kind of sweeps the country and kind of maybe is a big point in the narrative heading forward with things. But yeah, we have tons to talk about today. Of course, July 1st is the beginning of Wimbledon. All right, so any of my tennis fans out there, any of my fellow tennis swingers, backhand, you know, all this kind of stuff. I'm dressed for the occasion with my Lacoste here. Bought an alligator. I ain't talking Lacoste. I was going to wear the all whites per Wimbledon rules, but I only would just be wearing a white t-shirt. It wouldn't quite get the point across as me wearing this fine tennis shirt for you guys here today. We're dripped out. We're having a good time. We are the voice in your head, so tune in, tap in, lock in. I'm about to be packing an upper decky today. So much to talk about. Without further ado here, why don't we get into our first story that we want to talk about, the thing that everyone's talking about. Everyone's covered it, but no one's covered it like us. No one's going to give you the opinions like us. So obviously, when you're hearing other shows, when something like this happens, a debate, a war, something like this, don't listen to other people. You want to wait until we're live before you form your opinion, because you just will not be informed if you are listening to these other people out here. So please, guys, listen to what we have to say and really take this to heart and really start to form your opinion and your worldview about what we're saying here today.
Form your opinions based on what we say, though.
Yes.
That's very important.
Exactly. That's a main part we're trying to get across. But, you know, the thing is, covering this debate, this happened on Thursday night. And, of course, as I mentioned, we're recording here on Monday. So it's all been covered, really, by all of the talking heads on either side. You all know what happened. We all know who's running for president. We all know that there was a debate between these two on Thursday. I'm sure everyone has seen the clips. I'm sure everyone knows who these guys are, what's really going on. So I don't know how much information we can provide with that. But our takes on it are going to be a lot different than a lot of other people. I think you're going to see out there. But let's start here. This debate, this seemed to be planned out in advance. This result that we saw at the end of the night, what happened, the perception that was sent out across the viewership, the American public, Those in the loop with this, there was a narrative formed, and that was that Joe Biden is senile, that he has no chance of running this country or winning an election against Donald Trump. This was, of course, obvious to anyone paying attention or anyone, being honest with themselves and about this situation. But for some reason, people didn't acknowledge this before. There were so many lies. You heard these stories about Biden is doing cartwheels, actually, in the Oval Office. We can't keep up with him. He's so mentally and physically fit. And, of course, this was all absurd. But the narrative after this debate switched. And now we are all, as Americans, left, right, indoctrinated, not, we all are now acknowledging the clear cognitive decline and dementia that Joe Biden has been exhibiting for his entire presidency and quite a bit before that. But for some reason now, everyone is finally admitting it. The media, the Democrats, the Democratic voters, the NPCs. We all suddenly are seeing this, that Biden is not a legitimate candidate. He's a puppet. He's in complete mental decline. He has complete dementia. And this really seems to me to be a setup that Joe Biden, in a way, was put on this stage with these rules against Donald Trump to face off for an hour and a half, knowing that he would fail, knowing that people would see the truth in it. And this time around, they didn't try to cover it up as much as they usually do. They didn't try to lie about it as much as they usually do, but instead they decided to kind of let the truth come out a little bit about this. And it's very strange to see. It's very strange to see something that you've known for years and years and years now be accepted and brought up as if it's new information. So this is really seeming like a setup here. This is really seeming like they didn't hit Biden with that extra juice, that extra Adderall, whatever it is that they're hyping this guy up on. They didn't give him the dosage. They wanted him to fail. They wanted him to be embarrassed. This was a humiliation ritual to get Joe Biden out of the picture. And this is kind of how I see this. I can't see it any other way. What do you think about this? I know you didn't watch a debate in real time, but obviously there's been so much media coverage and everything of it. You think this was a setup, or are they that fucking stupid that they thought he actually stood a chance? What do you think? Hello?
Well, he had a lot more energy. He had a lot more energy in the debate around the 3-hour mark. You can see around that point there's a sort of like a stage helper. It fixes the pump in his podium there.
Yeah.
It really juiced him up, little Bacta tank or something. Really, around hour 3.5, he got really going.
Yeah, hour 3.5 of the hour and a half debate. He really did seem jazzed up once they fixed his pump, for sure. I did notice that.
Other than that, it was great. I mean, he talked about a lot of his favorite things like golf, his wife. I'm assuming he talks about his wife a lot. I didn't watch it, but
No.
I watched enough to know.
You didn't
basically anything I would need to know.
No, you didn't. And that's what's so frustrating about a situation like this, when the narrative is a lie, when the narrative is a straight up gaslighting, in your face lie, such as Joe Biden is running this country, or Joe Biden is mentally capable. That has been the narrative for 5 years, and then for that to all go away and for people to just kind of accept the truth, see the truth, it's just an odd feeling. In a way, you do feel like somewhat vindicated or proven right, but it's also it can be a very grating, frustrating experience. It kind of pisses you off. Like, yeah, no shit. Where have you guys been? I have been seeing clips of Biden stuttering, stammering, falling off the stage, just exhibiting every single symptom and sign of dementia out in front of us, and everyone has just been lying about it. So it's just kind of it's not as vindicating and happy as it always should be. A lot of times it's really frustrating because you're just reminded of how long this lie has been perpetuated and how many people kind of bought into it. So yeah, you're definitely right in in the assumption that you didn't lose any new information by not watching this debate. There's nothing that you and I didn't know about this. This is how I predicted it would go. But it is just seeing your assumptions or your knowledge played out live in front of the whole country. So I
had heard that I didn't, like I said, I didn't watch a lot of it, but I had heard that there wasn't a crowd, an audience. Is that true?
That's correct. And that's something that we can get
into. There was no crowd?
What's that?
There was no crowd?
There was no crowd. At all? Correct. It was just
that's awesome.
The moderators
that's a W.
And the
total sham.
Yeah, it's a total sham. So this debate it's the earliest debate ever in American history, okay? These debates, the RNC and the DNC have not yet happened to actually solidify Joe Biden and Donald Trump as the candidates. So this is earlier than any debate has ever taken place in American history, meaning this was not actually put on by the debate commission or an official body. This was just an agreement. This was just an agreement between the Biden campaign, Donald Trump, and CNN to air this debate. This was just kind of a setup, impromptu event that they put on. And all of the rules, including no live audience, mic cutting, all of these types of things, the no notes, the honestly kind of short time frame of it all. This was all the pitch was made by the Biden campaign. This wasn't like it was debated back and forth. Trump, is willing to go out and debate anyone, anywhere, and Biden called his bluff on this in a way and said, okay, we're going to do everything how I want it. It's going to be on CNN. We're going to have Jake Tapper. There's going to be no live audience for you to play off of. You're not going to have any notes or anything. All of this, and it 100% backfired on him. 100%.
It's just so silly.
It is.
Because, like, he's doing this, he always does this tough guy act, even though he's, geriatric as fuck. Yes. But a couple months ago, he said he would, like, not ever debate him.
Right.
This. And then they form this entirely staged, fake presidential debate. Is very silly.
100% silly. 100% staged, and that's why I do feel like this was kind of a setup. I think the elites within the Democratic Party, those who are pulling the strings, they obviously know what kind of capacities Biden has at this point, how diminished he is, and you can't just remove a guy without public political support. So they kind of had to run this whole humiliation ritual. They planned to do it ahead of the convention and early on so that they had time to recover. But that's really where all the signs are pointing at this point of this humiliation ritual. And yeah, these rules somehow ironically ended up working in Trump's favor, because I don't know if you watched any of the 2020 debates between these two, but Trump really came off as too aggressive, as honestly, and I like Trump's debate style. I like a more aggressive, shooting from the hip kind of style. I don't like this try to be holier than thou type of shit that a lot of politicians do. I like a confrontational debate style, but Trump did not do well in those 2020 debates because Biden was so senile, so retarded, so incapable.
Well, Biden kind of dethroned Trump as being like the funny man, just a different kind of funny.
Yeah, in a way. And if Trump in 2020 let Biden talk more and expose how stupid and incompetent he was, he would have done better. But he pounced too much on the opportunity, and that almost made him seem desperate. It almost made him seem mean. And I'm not someone who thinks Trump and this bullshit about his mean tweets and he's mean to people. People like him because he's mean to people. I like him because he's mean to people. But, he wasn't letting Biden get a word in. He was just pouncing on every kind of stutter that he did. And although that can be entertaining and fun to watch, in terms of a debate, he didn't do well. So these rules where Biden just had 2 minutes to talk and couldn't even fill 2 minutes with an answer, with any policy, and Trump was just able to stand there and look at him and shake his head. The rules definitely helped Trump. I don't know that I would have seen that coming, but in retrospect, it makes sense. It really does. they took away the guardrails, they took away the audience and the atmosphere, and just have this sad, adrenochromed man on the stage next to Donald J. And it didn't work out well for
Teflon
him.
Don.
Yes. So, a lot of things are changing after this. There's obviously a huge public freak out by Democrats and in the media. It's obviously probably a feigned freak out because this does seem like a setup. They do want to get him out. They know he's not going to, really stand a chance in an election if he continues this. So it's definitely feigned in a way that they're not actually freaking out. This is what they wanted to happen. But now, there are real calls from the media, from, high-level politicians, members of the Democratic Party, etc., to have Joe Biden step down, to have someone replace him. And it's put them in a very interesting predicament. I've been predicting for a long time that Joe Biden will not be the candidate in 2024 on November 5th. It just seems too obvious what a poor job he's done, what low approval he has, beyond just the dementia and being incapable of doing the job. So it seemed like they've been wanting to or likely would replace him for a long time. It's just that now they're starting to line up the cards. They're starting to get things in place to make that move. But as we can see here, looking over at this other tab, Biden afterwards, there seems to be somewhat of a civil war going on here because although I definitely see most politics, especially within the party, when we're talking party politics of who's going to be the nominee for the Republicans or for the Democrats, I see that mostly as theater, if not completely as theater. But there does seem to be somewhat of a battle going on here between those Biden himself and those loyal to Biden, like his wife, his family, and other people in the Democratic Party. And I do think things like this can happen because although it is theater, although, strings are being pulled, money's being thrown around behind the scenes, people do personally play these roles in these theater, in these productions. People do play these roles and people do get invested in that. So what I've been hearing, what's the stories that have been going on? Jesus Christ, can I get this ad off my fucking screen? What I've been hearing is that there's quite a civil war going on between the Biden camp, that he's unwilling to let go of power. And I'm hearing that it's actually a lot coming from Jill Biden and Hunter Biden, which kind of makes more sense that, they want that access to the presidency. They want that power, someone, who kind of benefits from that power, like the wife or like the son, but doesn't actually have the responsibility, I would see, would be pretty reluctant to relinquish that power. So it's going to be interesting to see here. Although they are starting to get things in place to make this move to get rid of Biden. It does seem late, obviously. It would be tough. I can't really think of a name who could replace him and really pick up that much support. Maybe Michelle Obama stands out to me. That could do it, but it's really late in the game. We're just gonna have to see how things play out in the next couple of days. It's hard to make a prediction. What do you think, man? Is he gonna be replaced, or are we gonna see Joe Biden on the ballot in November?
It's definitely the desperation has shifted, and if you didn't know already, the future is female, so that's probably going to have an effect. Yeah, there's probably going to be a Michelle Obama, Big Mike sort of situation, or Jill's going to step in, and she's probably been running the show the whole time.
Yeah.
Everyone was spooked by this spooky character, Kamala.
Yes.
Spooky.
Yeah.
But it's probably Jill, really.
I think Jill is
making things
definitely pulling
happen.
a lot of strings. I mean, you can just see it like in like if you would do a body language analysis of how she kind of walks him around and is his handler, his kind of puppet master. It seems very obvious.
Joe fails the green line test every time.
Yes, absolutely. He definitely fails very much so in that. But like, yeah, if she's able to lead him around and drag him around like a dog on a leash on the stage, in front of world leaders, just imagine what's going on behind the scenes and the decision making in his schedule of what he's going to do. So I definitely think Jill is if we're actually looking at who's running the country, right? Answering that question, like I'm not under the illusion that the president is running the country at any given time. Even if it's a Donald Trump type of a character who's more independent, has his actual mental faculties, he's not really running the country, right? There's such infrastructure around him and powers like the deep state. But, the president is kind of that one executive that, when Donald Trump was in office, Donald Trump was the president, right? He wasn't necessarily running the country. That's a fallacy, but he was the president. He was executing the duties of the president. We look at Biden under his whole presidency. It's been extremely clear he is not personally executing the duties of the presidential office. And you wonder who is? He has his cabinet, he has his family, and I think a huge answer to that question is Jill Biden. I think in effect, Jill Biden is and has been our president more so than Joe Biden for the past 4 years. So that's something really interesting. Do you know about Jill Biden's background? Let's get into this, man. This is a little aside we can talk about. To take a little break from the debate before we get back into it. Do you know about Jill Biden, her background?
I'm not too familiar with the Good Doctor's sort of behavior in the past. Probably a lot of skeletons, that sort of thing.
Yeah. Well, okay. Do you know about Emmanuel Macron, the French president, his wife?
Yeah.
Yeah. So for all our viewers at home,
yeah. Okay.
She was the French president or prime minister. I don't know which one. Who gives a fuck? He is married to his elementary school teacher. She's like over 20 years older than him. I mean, isn't that fucking disgusting? Isn't that fucking sick? I can't believe these fucking guys are doing this. It's right in your face. But Joe Biden was married. He had 2 or 3 kids with his wife, right? And his wife got into a car crash. This is his first wife before Jill. He had a wife when he was in Congress. His wife got into a car crash that killed her and his daughter, I believe. Now, if you want to start thinking about how people get into power and the sacrifices that are forced upon them to obtain that power, or what kind of, compromising information people in power have to have on them, you kind of can start getting conspiratorial about the death of his wife and then his career afterwards. But all of that aside, he remarried pretty quickly after, I believe, to Jill.
Oh, yeah.
So he already had kids, Hunter and Beau, who were grown up at that point, pretty grown up. And Jill was Hunter and Beau's babysitter. So Joe Biden was a married man with 3 kids, 2 sons and a daughter. And he brought this young babysitter into the house named Jill. And then suddenly, a car crash, a tragedy happens. His wife dies. And he remarries this woman who has been, a part of his family, living in his house, to some extent as a babysitter would do, especially for a senator. Think of that. That's like more of a nanny, probably like living at the house most of the time. He goes and marries this person that raised his kids. That's fucking sickening. That's disgusting to me. I can't. These people, they get away with it. Any normal person, if you met a guy at work and he said, I had a family, my wife died, and I married my babysitter after my wife died who raised my kids, you would not talk to this guy at work again. You'd probably, stay the fuck away.
Oh, and by the way, he's actively making laws for the country while he's being this like deviant sex pervert.
So that's really sickening. It's really fucking weird. This connection between them. it just gives you the heebie-jeebies. I mean, even if you think, you can think, maybe it's all fine. No illegal things were committed. If you kind of, your mind starts to go there.
Well, let's dive into the illegal things. Do you think maybe
Well,
Jill kind of coordinated this thing with the wife dying?
that could be. That could be.
She could have aspirations like that.
I wasn't even. I was thinking more in terms of the sexual perversion of Joe Biden.
Oh yeah, but she took advantage of that.
Absolutely, but you think of it. Even if everything was on the up and up, they didn't do anything. He didn't It can't be. Nothing is in the up and up in this situation. There's no way that you have this young woman in your house raising your sons, and then you marry her shortly after the death of your wife, and that you weren't thinking sexually about this young woman who's raising your kids. It's just really sick. There's no way this was on the up and up. There's no way this makes sense or it's okay for any normal person to do. But this is our president, Joseph Robinette Biden. He's getting away with it. He can't keep getting away with it. So that's just a sick thing. Just a little aside about Joe Biden. But once again, we're here on this show on Hans 33.3 FM. We're not here to tear you down. We're not here to give you bad news. We're not here to black pill you. We're here to show you how things are turning around. Things are on the up and up, how we have to be positive. We have to win. We have to keep winning. And we have to just, lock in. Now is our time. People are starting to wake up. And as we talk about how fucked up this guy is, how embarrassing his presidency is, how this era of gaslighting really is capstoned by this douchebag's tenure in the presidential office, we have to keep in mind, look what just happened on the presidential debate stage. Even if this is all fake, even this is all theater, this gaslighting, this mind virus, this programming is starting to wear off. People are starting to realize. And, the thing is, people might still be very much ingrained in this theatrical performance of politics. They might not truly realize how orchestrated and how fake and manipulative everything is. But the thing is, with the average person, and I know this because it happened to myself and to most of my other friends who think like I do and agree with me, is you can only be lied to and tricked so many times. And that's what's going on, is the average person is starting to realize they are being lied to and they are being tricked. Okay, so someone who watched this debate and, doesn't come to viewing it with the assumption that this is all theater, that this is maybe a plot, that they are trying to coordinate something here between these candidates to get a desired outcome. They still go into this debate and think, wow, the president of the United States of America is much more cognitively impaired than I believed. And that triggers something in their brain to think I've been lied to, or something about my worldview and the information I'm taking in is not true. And they might not, fully click with them that, oh, this was a setup. Joe Biden's not the real president. You don't get to level 99 red pill after just watching one debate. But what starts to happen is you start to realize the fallacies, the lies that are right in front of your face, and they always are right in front of your face. And as that happens,
that's how they get away with everything, is because it's right in front of you.
So as these truths start to come out, as big or as small, whether it be Kendrick Lamar on stage rapping about Drake being a pedophile, like we talked about last week, or whether it be Joe Biden's clear dementia being exposed on stage and talked about throughout all of the media, people start to realize the truth and the good or I should say the good in the truth, the things that make sense, the things that feel right and ring true to you. And as this goes on, people are just going to become more and more resilient to the lying and the gaslighting and being able to see through things more. None of us got to level 99 red pill and understanding everything and having our current views as soon as we realized something was up in the world. It takes time, and we're just seeing more and more examples of this where someone who's really just an NPC, not very politically involved, not very, socially or culturally aware of things, not thinking too deeply, they just start to see these things. They start to see things on the news, mainstream outlets that they are just giving undeniable proof that they're being lied to. Something's not right. Something's not true. And, even the most ardent, even the most block-headed, stubborn, room temp IQ NPC will start to notice when they're being lied to too much, when things are changing too much, and these things start to build up, and this is what we're noticing. So this is a good thing, guys. It's a good thing that we're talking about Joe Biden and his fucked up marriage. It's a good thing we're realizing what he really is. Americans are realizing who he really is on the debate stage. So things are looking good, guys. An interesting.
And you know what he is?
Go ahead. What do you have?
He's great. He's great.
Well,
he's great.
The comment you said a little bit ago about how Joe Biden dethroned Trump as the funniest president. It's kind of true. It's kind of true in a way. I think people like myself or people, who don't like Joe Biden or just kind of see through the bullshit, that we get fucking pissed off about this kind of shit. This makes us mad. We don't like to see it. I don't want to say it's like a Trump derangement syndrome type of a thing, but it's in the realm where it's hard to just objectively look at somebody because they're, you think about, wow, this is a person running the country. Think about what we could have done, all the bad things. But, if you objectively just sit down and look at Joe Biden, listen to Joe Biden, the guy is fucking, he's saying funny shit. Look at this fucking guy right here. This is objectively.
Let's get some.
This is objectively funny right here.
Biden derangement syndrome going.
Yeah. So in a way, yeah, that's true. Biden derangement syndrome in a way has been a thing. I wouldn't classify it in the same way as Trump derangement syndrome because I do think that Biden derangement syndrome is like justified. It makes sense if you have a dementia patient running the country. You can be that should derange you a little bit. But yeah,
let's get that going. Let's make it popular. Everyone in the chat saying it's a thing
have
here.
To just be a little bit more aware and a little bit white pilled about this whole situation. Just look at this guy and be like, this is a funny fucking guy.
You're a stupid son of a bitch.
So, yeah.
He looks so happy.
He is, man. So this was the interesting thing I wanted to cover about this. So he goes on this debate stage. And this is expanding more upon the idea that this whole thing with the debate was a setup for Joe Biden. Really what it seemed like. And this is because the very next day, I believe, Friday night, so the debate was Thursday, on Friday night, he held a rally with his wife here, his babysitter wife. He held a rally in North Carolina. This motherfucker was fired the fuck up, I tell you, bro. I've never seen Biden so fucking hype. He was yelling in the mic. He was getting jazzed up. He was fired up. He was locked the fuck in. So it makes you wonder how a guy on one night can just, need to be put to bed with a warm glass of milk, and the next night he's jacked up. Really just shows you there's something. There's an external force here. Call it what you want. Adderall. Call it Red Bull, modafinil. I don't know what the cocktail is, but they're choosing to give him a cocktail or choosing not to give him a cocktail or something here that clearly has a huge effect on his level of cognitive ability, his ability to speak and articulate. And why didn't they do that on the debate night? If they did it at a rally in North Carolina, why not on debate night? Well, it's because it's a setup, ladies and gentlemen. Last thing I want to point out about all of this, obviously there's this huge outcry from Democrats and the media and within the party and elected officials to replace Biden, to do something about it. We're going to see what happens with that. It's hard to make a call. There's a lot of factors at play. I think it's unlikely Biden carries on, but it is getting late in the game, and they don't have any good options. That's what we're looking at. But here's another huge outcome of this debate, a huge consequence. If we see here, this is on real clear polling averages. So these are betting odds on the 2024 U.S. election. And I like to look at this kind of stuff because I'm not a huge bettor. I'm not like a huge sports bettor or anything like that. But there's one thing that has to be said about this, and it's that people don't lie with their money. So if you're looking at polling when it comes to, just a general poll, a text sent out to people, calling them, people are going to lie. There's this thing called the wisdom of the crowd. You actually get better polling results when you ask people who they think their friends or their peers will vote for rather than asking them directly because there's a lot of pressure. They're likely lie. There's this huge phenomenon with Trump under polling in 2016 because people didn't want to admit or say that they were going to vote for Trump. And then a lot of them went out and did it. So there's this kind of wisdom of a crowds thing going on where it's better to ask people who they think is going to win or who their friends are going to vote for versus asking them directly. And the betting odds is another thing like this where you're going to get people who lie to a pollster. You're going to get media companies and outlets who skew polls or try to suggest a certain thing, horse race journalism and polling, these types of things. People don't lie with their money. People are not going to place a bet that they don't believe in. This is the most honest way I believe that you can do betting is to see, or to do polling is to see where are people putting their money, because that's a true odds. So if we see here, Trump right now is sitting at 54.3% to be the president next year. And the second place is Joe Biden at 19.5. So it's a huge gap there. Trump is over 50% and Biden is under 20. So, of course, you have to account for third-party candidates and stuff. Like, if you see RFK here, he's at 2.2. So this is, if you would look at a betting for, I'm sure, like 2016 or 2020, you'd have the third-party candidates getting some percentage of the vote. But you would expect a percentage, 60-40, 50-50, something close to that. Biden's sitting at only 20% betting odds to be the president after this election. And I mean, that is just astounding. If we see here on this graph, we can see the night of the election, Trump is sitting at 51.2% and Joe Biden at 35.5. I think that's the highest we're looking at there. So Biden, these are closer to odds that I was expecting, 35 to 50. It is looking like even before the debate that Trump is going to win the election by quite a bit. He's picking up a lot of votes and demographics he wasn't getting earlier. But then we see here after the debate just such a steep drop off for Biden, going down to 20%, and it's just continued to fall off. We see a spike for Newsom, Michelle Obama, these types of people. So this kind of tells us in this debate, Trump didn't really win, and I agree with that. He had some good moments that, he was articulate, he got his point across, but Trump really didn't win. He didn't gain too much. What this is really showing us is that Biden's likelihood of being the candidate for the Democrats has really stooped rather than his odds to win the election. So that's interesting to look at. And just one more thing, to kind of discuss with this whole debate and the reaction to it from everybody has been kind of what I was just saying, that Trump didn't win this debate, Biden lost it. And that's true. Trump didn't do poorly, but I've been seeing a spin. There's been a spin occurring, and I don't know where this is coming from, if it's coming from the DNC, the media, it seems like all of it, but I've been seeing it on social media that they're both siding this debate. And that's wrong. That is wrong to do. I hate the both-side-ism kind of a argument. It's just fucking gay. It's annoying. It's cringe. If you find yourself both siding something, you lost. But what I'm seeing out there is people saying, oh my God, this was the worst debate ever. We have a guy who can't talk and a guy who just lies. Or I've been seeing a lot of memes or kind of things about how this was the worst debate. This was the worst. We have two horrible candidates. I can't believe these are our choices. Hold on. Wait. Can we pause for a second? That's not what I fucking saw. This was one of the worst debates ever for one of the candidates. This was the worst debate performance for a candidate in American history. This debate was horrible because Joe Biden put on the worst performance ever. Trump wasn't as maybe locked in as he usually is. He didn't have the zingers he usually did. He didn't have the moments, probably because of the lack of a crowd he usually has. But Trump didn't do anything wrong. You can say he lied. He got some things wrong. But I hate this both-side-ism that now we're taking this clear failure by a sitting president of the United States to even just speak for an hour and a half in front of people. And we're starting to spin this into, I can't believe these are the two candidates that we have. I can't believe we have a liar and a demented guy. If that's your takeaway, you need to figure some things out. You need to check what the fuck is going on. If you genuinely believe you can both side this kind of a thing, this kind of a display in the debate, I don't know what to tell you. I don't know. If you didn't come away with that impression that, you know, politics, policy, whatever aside, that a man like Donald Trump sitting in the Oval Office is better than a man like Joe Biden, I don't know what to tell you. And this both-side-ism spin isn't going to work. People are going to remember what Joe Biden did on that stage. No one really is going to care what Trump did or even remember it. But it is concerning and scary to see. It's like, I think of it like in a Super Bowl. Like, this is a Super Bowl, right? If there was a Super Bowl played and one of the teams just like sucked, was terrible. Like, we've seen a couple of Super Bowls like that in the past where like the first snap from scrimmage goes over the quarterback's head. It's in the end zone. It's like a 40-0 blowout. That is not the most entertaining Super Bowl. I will agree with you. That's not a good Super Bowl. Doesn't make for a good debate. But what you should be coming out of that knowing is that one of the competitors was vastly superior to the other. And that's why it was so unentertaining, was because one was so much better. So to come away with this, like, well, Trump maybe lied. Well, it's fucking politics and it's a debate. So yeah, that both-side-ism was really weird. It's not going to work, but, you know, just check yourself when you're falling into that to not be saying, well, but Trump lied. Because what Biden did on that stage was way more insane and scary for our country, for our nation, for our people than a lie or something, you know? So don't buy into that. That's definitely going to be a psyop. And overall, I guess, just to kind of wrap up this whole segment, we've been going for a long time on this topic. It's something good to cover, something I wanted to cover from watching it. But I think that's kind of all we had to say. You wanted to talk just kind of on the consumption of this. You know, let's kind of go a little deeper. We covered a lot of the surface level political kind of things. Let's talk about just like the values, the merits of consuming this. Is it worthwhile, or what do you think, man?
Well, with something like this where it's very odd, you don't really know what you're seeing, but you know it's what you want to see. Like, this is not an official debate. It's more of like a exhibition match.
Right.
You know, there's nothing official about it besides all these extra rules.
Mm-hmm.
But I think people need to know that you can say no. Like, I only saw a little bit of it, mostly because I slept through most of it. But you can say no to it. You can say no to being involved, to consume.
What's that? Sorry, you're breaking up a little bit.
I just don't care about.
Sorry, bro, you're breaking up a little bit. Can you restart that? Sorry, folks, we're having some technical difficulties. Like I said, this is our third episode, but
presented to you, and you can say no.
There he is. Hold on.
No to most.
Hello?
The whole thing.
Sorry.
Hey, you're breaking up on my end a lot too.
Am I?
Yeah.
All right, folks, we're going to move on to our next segment. Thank you very much for tuning in to Hans 33.3 FM. If you are here, you are locked in, you are tuned in to the right frequency. Stick with us. This was only our first segment. We have so much more to cover with you, so much more to tell you about what's going on in the world and how you should be thinking about it, what you should be knowing. Thank you for tuning in. Lots more to come. We're going to take a short break, figure out some of these technical difficulties we're dealing with. We're going to have this all ironed out in just a short few years for you guys. So stick with us. This next song is going to be That's Life by Frank Sinatra. Song just kind of gives me Joe Biden vibes, and if I put on a performance like Joe Biden, I'd be listening to this song as I drive off. That's life, baby.